In the shadowed halls of the Grand French Palace, Celeste, a young woman of 18, has lived as a mute servant for 8 years, concealing her true identity to avoid being claimed by the ruthless Alpha King, Thierry. Once the princess of a neighboring kingdom, Celeste fled at 10 after a sorceress's curse transformed her brothers into wolves and her homeland fell to ruin. To break the curse, she must weave 6 mantles from deadly wolfsbane in silence, a task that has kept her hidden among the palace's lowest ranks. But when King Thierry, a powerful and enigmatic alpha, begins to notice the quiet servant girl, Celeste's carefully guarded secret unravels. Torn between her duty to her brothers and an undeniable bond with the king, Celeste faces a choice that could save her family or doom them all. What will Celeste do when the Alpha King discovers her true identity? Share your thoughts in the comments below, like, and subscribe for more gripping tales. Moonlight cascaded like molten silver over the manicured gardens of the Palace of Versailles, illuminating the wolfsbane flowers in an ethereal glow. Their delicate violet petals hid a deadly secret, toxic to shifters like Celeste, who move among them with the grace of a ghost. At 18, she had mastered the art of invisibility, her hands, calloused from years of secret weaving, plucking the mature stems with precision. 8 years of nocturnal harvest had honed her patience to a fine edge, teaching her to blend into the night like mist over the Seine. The distant melody of a gavotte floated from the grand ballroom, where King Thierry, the Alpha King of France, celebrated his return from a southern campaign against rival pacts. The court indulged in opulent excess, silks swirling, crystal goblets clinking, laughter echoing to the gilded halls. Even the guards, usually vigilant in this section of the gardens, lingered near illuminated windows, stealing glimpses of the spectacle. It left the paths deserted, a mercy for Celeste's clandestine work. Her fingers throbbed as the wolfsbane sap seeped through tiny cuts, its poison causing a familiar burn that radiated up her arms. For shifters, the plant was a bane, dangerous to touch, lethal if ingested, yet Celeste endured without a sound, stuffing the blooms into her hidden pouch. This one for Etienne, she thought, choosing a robust stem for her eldest brother, whose midnight black wolf still exuded the authority of the crown prince he once was. And this for Julien, the youngest, whose mischievous energy persisted even in his cursed form, bounding through forests with undimmed spirit. When the pain grew too intense, Celeste paused, closing her eyes to summon memories of her brothers as humans. Etienne's strong arms lifting her onto his shoulders during festivals, Julien's infectious laughter as they chased fireflies in the meadows of their lost kingdom. Those recollections had sustained her through endless nights of silence and solitude. 5 mantles were complete, tucked away in a secret compartment beneath her pallet in the servants' quarters. The 6th lacked only a final panel. 6 more months of unwavering quiet, and the curse would shatter. 6 more months of harvesting under the stars, weaving by flickering candlelight in stolen moments, biting back every word that threatened to escape. A branch cracked nearby, sharp as a whip in the still night. Celeste froze, her heart slamming against her ribs. She melted into the shadow of a towering hedge, her breath controlled to near silence. Footsteps approached, measured, assured, not the hurried march of guard, but the confident gait of one who ruled every blade of grass in these grounds. The gait of a king. Celeste knew she should bolt. Any servant discovered in the royal gardens after dusk faced a lash or worse. But as the figure emerged from the path, moonlight etching his features in stark relief, her body betrayed her. King Thierry was here. In the pale light, he appeared almost mythical. Broad shoulders, a jaw carved from marble, eyes the color of storm-tossed seas gleaming with a wolf's restrained ferocity. He walked alone, his tall frame gliding with predatory elegance, his inner wolf pacing restlessly, as it did whenever he sought solace in these gardens. This wasn't the first time Celeste had glimpsed him here. Over 8 years of silent observation, she had cataloged his every nuance. The crease between his brows when dispatches from the borders arrived bearing ill news, the subtle warmth in his expression when he knelt to speak with orphaned pups in the courtyard. The gardens were her riskiest foraging spot, teeming with wolfsbane but patrolled often. Yet she returned, drawn not just by the plants but by the chance to see him, to imagine a world where she could step from the darkness and into his light. How many nights had she fantasized about revealing herself, composing silent dialogues in her mind, wondering what words she might offer if her voice were free. Her fingers ached to ease the tension from his shoulders. Her heart yearned to share his burdens. She had witnessed his hidden kindnesses, slipping levers to weary servants, spending hours drilling young warriors personally rather than delegating captains. So, against all reason, she had fallen, not for the crown's power, but for the man who wore it with quiet resolve. The longing was a constant ache, a void in her chest that deepened with every unshared glance, every smile he bestowed on others. Her wolf stirred within, a warm pressure against her thoughts. Mate, it murmured, as it had for years. Ours! Celeste quashed it fiercely. It was folly. Even if the ancient legends of fated mates held truth, even if this pull was destiny, she could never act on it. Not while her brothers roamed as beasts, not while her vow bound her tongue. Your Majesty, a voice intruded, shattering the moment. Lord Duval, Thierry's chief advisor, stepped into view, his embroidered doublet catching the light. I beg privacy, Thierry said without turning, his tone laced with weariness. Duval bowed deeply. Apologies, sire, but the Duchess of Provence insists on an audience. She speaks of an alliance that could fortify our southern flanks. Thierry's shoulders tensed. An alliance or a union? Duval shifted uncomfortably. The council sees merit in both. Her vineyards and ports would complement our territories perfectly. Celeste's pulse stuttered. Marriage. The word landed like a stone in her gut. Another would stand beside him, know his secrets, feel his touch. She gripped the hedge, thorns pricking her palms, but the physical pain was nothing compared to the storm within. The Duchess is renowned for her beauty, Duval pressed, though rumors swirl about her past. 3 husbands, all perished within a year of wedding her. Thierry's chuckle was bitter. Am I to be honored as a 4th? A chill raced down Celeste's spine. 3 husbands dead. Could this Duchess be Isolde? The sorceress who had cursed her brothers? The one who had seduced her father, drained his life force, and seized their throne? It seemed impossible. Isolde ruled a distant realm in the east. Yet the parallels unnerved her. My wolf prowls tonight, Thierry said softly, his gaze sweeping the gardens, lingering near Celeste's hiding place. It seeks something elusive. Perhaps the ballroom holds what you need, Duval suggested. Thierry sighed. Perhaps. He straightened, regal once more. Lead on. As they departed, a breeze rustled the leaves, carrying Celeste's scent toward them. Thierry paused, nostrils flaring. Do you smell that? Like wildflowers in storm. Duval dismissed it. The gardens are full of exotic blooms, sire, for healing potions. Thierry's eyes, sharp as a hawk's, scanned the shadows. Celeste held her breath, heart thundering. For an endless moment, she thought he saw her. Then he shook his head and followed Duval. She exhaled shakily, gathering her harvest. She should retreat to her quarters, weave in safety. But curiosity, desperation, drew her to the palace. She needed to see this Duchess, to confirm that the past had returned to haunt her. Slipping through a side door, Celeste navigated the servants' passages, the air thick with roasting meats and perfume. The ballroom was a blaze of light. Chandeliers dripping crystal, nobles in powdered wigs and brocades waltzing. At the dais, Thierry sat, composed yet distant. Beside him stood a woman with auburn hair piled high, her gown a cascade of scarlet silk. Celeste's blood iced. It was her, Isolde the sorceress, her cold beauty unchanged, her hand resting possessively on Thierry's arm, her lips curved in a smile that promised destruction. Celeste's world tilted. How had Isolde come here, disguised as a duchess? The curse, the murders, it was all repeating. She had to warn Cherry, but how? Her silence was her prison, and breaking it would doom her brothers forever. Celeste concealed herself in an alcove behind a velvet drape, the ballroom's opulence unfolding before her like a vivid tapestry. Isolde dominated the scene, her presence commanding as if she had always belonged in Versailles, not as a visitor but as its future queen. The sight stirred haunting memories for Celeste. 9 years ago, in the halls of her father's chateau in Hungary, she had spied from similar hiding spots as Isolde wove her web of charm and deceit. King Laszlo had been a robust ruler, his voice thundering through feasts, his arms scooping young Celeste into hugs that smelled of leather and pine. Then Isolde arrived, her smile enchanting, her potion subtle. Within weeks of their marriage, her father withered, eyes glazing over, laughter fading, becoming a marionette parroting Isolde's whims. The court murmured of grief for his late queen, but Etienne suspected foul play. She siphoning his essence, he had whispered one stormy night, after being barred from their father's chambers yet again, feeding her dark magic. They had plotted confrontation, gathering evidence of her spells. But fate intervened. Julian burst into Celeste's room one midnight, eyes wide with terror. "Father's dead," he gasped, dragging her from bed. "Isolde accuses us of poison. The guards are coming." They fled into the Carpathian forest. 3 years of nomadic survival hardening. Celeste from child to survivor. Lessons in foraging, evasion, and silence became her education. Then came the night Isolde's hunters found them. Celeste squeezed her eyes shut against a recollection. The glade illuminated by eerie witch fire, her brothers shifting to wolves to shield her, Isolde's mocking cackle as she intoned the curse. "Let your animal forms imprison you," she proclaimed, silver light engulfing them. "Your human souls trapped within, helpless spectators." Celeste alone escaped, hidden in underbrush by Julian's swift paw. She lay still as Isolde declared the princess lost to the wilds, her brothers mere beasts for the hunt. That night, her grandmother's spirit visited in a dream. 6 mantles of wolfsbane, woven in utter silence. Only then will the curse lift. Celeste wandered for months, seeking the plant, until whispers of Versailles-famed gardens reached her, posing as a mute orphan. She secured a kitchen roll, access to wolfsbane and anonymity. Now, watching Isolde circle Thierry with predatory elegance, Celeste saw history repeating. Was Hungary not enough? Did Isolde covet France's power, planning to wed and drain Thierry as she had her father? The thought sickened her, Thierry's vitality ebbing, his sea-gray eyes dulling, her fists clenched, nails digging crescents into her palms. She must alert him. But how? Illiterate from her interrupted childhood, she couldn't write. Breaking silence risked her brother's eternal curse. Would a king heed a servant's mute warnings? And Isolde would know her instantly, eliminate the threat. Her mind whirled as Isolde laughed at Thierry's quip, her hand lingering on his sleeve. The sorceress's amethyst ring, the same that had glowed during the curse, flashed in the candlelight. As the evening dragged, Thierry's fatigue showed, stiff posture, smiles that didn't reach his eyes. He excused himself early, bowing over Isolde's hand without a kiss. Celeste noted with grim satisfaction. Isolde's facade cracked briefly, her eyes hardening as he left. She scanned the room, beckoning a servant boy, Pierre, with a wine tray. Words exchanged, and a vial and coin slipped into his pocket. Pierre glanced furtively at Isolde before slipping away toward the royal wing. Instinct screamed danger. Celeste followed, shadows her ally. The upper halls were quiet, staff below at the feast. Pierre ascended to Thierry's chambers, vial in hand. Celeste hesitated. The royal wing was forbidden, but pressed on. At the guards, Pierre said, "Wine for His Majesty." They let him pass. Celeste snatched a fruit platter, mimicking a delivery. "More for the king?" a guard queried. She nodded. "Don't dally." Inside the study, firelight warmed mahogany walls, lined with tomes and maps. Thierry lounged by the hearth in a loose chemise, hair disheveled, looking vulnerably human. Celeste's wolf surged, heat flooding her. "Wine, sire," Pierre said, pouring. Celeste spotted the vial's contents tipping in, a magical shimmer. Without hesitation, Celeste tripped, spilling the wine across the floor. Cherry leapt up. "What?" His eyes met hers, time suspending. Recognition dawned, primal and deep. His pupils widened, eyes darkening. Pierre stammered excuses and fled. Cherry advanced, drawn inexorably. "Who are you?" he whispered, wonder in his voice. Celeste's lips parted, words surging. "I'm yours." She nearly spoke, nearly sacrificed all. Terror gripped her. She whirled and ran, heart fracturing. Celeste barely slept, Cherry's gaze haunting her, intense, golden-flecked, stirring her wolf. Dawn found her huddled by her window, the sixth mantle in her lap, wolfsbane searing her skin. The burn paled against her inner turmoil. Dreams had plagued her. Isolde dragging her before the court, accusing her of treachery, her brother's wolf eyes reproachful. You almost spoke for him. She hid the mantle and descended to the kitchens, chopping herbs amid the clamor. No mention of the spill. Pierre had stayed silent. Extra lavender in the tea, the cook ordered. Celeste smiled inwardly. Cherry favored lavender in cool weather, one of many details she gathered. The kitchen froze as Cherry entered, regal in simplicity. Duval and the steward followed, baffled. "Carry on," Cherry said. Whispers buzzed. Celeste bowed her head, praying anonymity. But he approached. "There you are," he said, voice like silk. The cook apologized, but Cherry waved it off. "Her name?" "Mute, sire. We call her Loon, for her moonlit wanderings." "Loon," Cherry echoed. He lifted her chin, their eyes locking. Sparks flew. "You can't speak." She shook her head. He declared her his personal attendant, shocking all. Move her to the royal wing. Celeste's world upended, her secrets teetering. Word count. For 28. Wait, this is short. Expand to 1,500. To make longer, add more. Expanded version. Celeste barely slept. The king's gaze, storm gray turning to molten gold. Replaying in her mind, his voice a echo that sent shivers down her spine. Dawn light filtered through her tiny window in the servant's attic, finding her curled on her straw pallet. The nearly complete sixth mantle clutched in her trembling hands. The wolfsbane fibers, woven with painstaking care, burned her palms like fire, but the physical agony was a mere whisper compared to the storm raging inside her. In fitful dreams, Isolde had cackled as she hauled Celeste before a jeering court, branding her a traitor with poison on her lips and deceit in her heart. Her brothers, trapped in wolf form, watched from the forest edge, their eyes filled with betrayal. "You almost spoke. You nearly doomed us for him." With a shudder, Celeste banished the visions. She tucked the mantle beneath the loose floorboard, its hiding place secure for now, and forced herself to rise. Her reflection in a cracked basin showed dark circles under her silver eyes, her dark hair tangled from tossing. She was foolish to think Cherry would remember a clumsy servant. She was nothing, a shadow, a mute girl who spilled wine and fled. What mattered was shielding him from Isolde's poison, finishing the mantles, freeing her brothers. But how could a silent servant protect a king from a sorceress's wiles? These questions churned as Celeste ascended to the bustling kitchens, the air thick with flour dust and sizzling fats. She took her place at a chopping block, her knife flying through onions and garlic with mechanical precision. The routine grounded her, the cacophony of pots clanging and orders barked a familiar shield. No one spoke of last night's incident. Pierre must have kept quiet, perhaps fearing implication. A small mercy. More lavender in the morning tea. The head cook, Madame Lefebvre, bellowed, weaving between tables like a general. His Majesty requested it yesterday. Don't make me repeat myself. Celeste allowed a ghost of a smile. Cherry always asked for lavender when autumn's chill set in, claiming it cleared his mind for council meetings. It was one of countless details she collected over the years, pieced together from overheard conversations and silent observations. The kitchens enveloped her in comfort, steam rising from cauldrons, the scent of fresh bread, the chatter of fellow servants. Here, she was invisible, safe, until the room fell silent as a tomb. Celeste's knife hovered mid-slice. "Your Majesty," Madame Lefebvre stammered, wiping her hands on her apron as she curtsied deeply. Celeste's heart lurched. Slowly, she turned, knowing who stood in the doorway. King Thierry de Loire, no crown adorning his brow, no armor cladding his form, just a dark velvet tunic and an aura of quiet command. Lord Duval and the steward flanked him, both wearing expressions of utter astonishment at the king's presence in such lowly quarters. "Please, continue your work," Thierry said, his voice deep and resonant, settling over the room like a calming spell. "I have no wish to disrupt the morning's labors." The kitchen stirred back to life, but movements were stiff, self-conscious. Whispers slithered behind every ladle and mortar. Celeste ducked her head, resuming her chopping with shaking hands. "Stay small," she thought. "Unseen. He won't remember." But she felt him drawing nearer, his presence a magnetic force. Madame Lefebvre guided him through the stations, her voice proud as she explained processes. Then they stopped behind Celeste. "And here, we prepare the herbs and vegetables for the day's meals, Your Majesty," Madame Lefebvre said. Thierry's voice brushed her like caress. "Ah, there you are." The certainty in his tone struck her like a blow. He had been searching for her. Still, she kept her eyes on the board, knife moving mechanically. "You're the girl from last night," Thierry continued, a statement, not a question. The room hushed again. "Your Majesty," Madame Lefebvre said nervously, "has she offended you? I assure you, she'll be disciplined." "No offense taken," Thierry replied gently. Celeste felt him step closer, his scent, cedar and earth, enveloping her. She gripped the knife tighter, anchoring herself. Then his fingers, warm and firm, brushed beneath her chin, tilting her face up. She resisted the urge to pull away, meeting his gaze. Up close, he was breathtaking. Flecks of silver in his storm-gray eyes, a faint scar along his jaw from some long-ago battle, and an expression of raw curiosity, stripped of royal mask. "You never told me your name," he said softly, words for her alone amid the silence. Her lips parted, the urge to speak surging like a tide. She bit her cheek, tasting blood. "Not yet, not for 6 months." "She can't, Your Majesty," Madame Lefebvre interjected. "The girl is mute, has been since she arrived 8 years ago." Thierry didn't break eye contact. "Is that so?" he murmured, thoughtful. His thumb grazed her jaw lightly before he lowered his hand. "She's a good worker," Madame Lefebvre added hastily. "Simple but reliable, never trouble." "And what do you call her?" Thierry asked, his voice warm. "We call her Lune, sire. She's always gazing at the moon, like it's calling to her." "Lune," Thierry repeated, savoring the name. Celeste's heart stumbled. He glanced at a young scullery maid. "Why Lune?" The girl blushed. "She wanders the gardens at night sometimes, staring at the stars and moon, like she's searching for something lost." Thierry's brow lifted, a smile tugging his lips. He turned to the steward. "From today, Lune will serve as my personal attendant. See her things moved to quarters near my chambers." A gasp rippled through the kitchen. The steward bowed. "As you wish, Your Majesty." Celeste stood frozen, knife forgotten, as Thierry looked back at her. The royal apartments were a realm of luxury Celeste had only glimpsed from afar, marble floors gleaming under chandelier light, tapestries depicting legendary wolves hunting under French moons. As Thierry's attendant, she entered spaces few servants dared. The king's bedchamber, with its four-poster bed draped in silk, the air scented with lavender and his essence. "This is irregular, sire," Lord Duval protested, eyeing Celeste warily. "An attendant should be trained." "Lune has served 8 years," Thierry replied, not looking up from his desk. "That's training enough." But she's mute, Duval pressed. How will she announce guests? I find silence a virtue, my friend. Duval sighed and departed, leaving Celeste alone with Cherry for the first time since the spill. He read parchments, content with her presence. Her heart pounded, his scent stirring her wolf. Finally, he set the papers aside. Afraid of me, little loon? She shook her head slightly. Then why tremble? He approached slowly. Look at me. She did, his eyes burning. I thought I imagined it, the pull when our eyes meet. You feel it too. She nodded minutely. Good, he smiled. I'm not mad. The weeks blurred. Celeste learned his rhythms, preparing his bath with lavender oils, laying out tunics embroidered with the royal wolf. Her position allowed vigilance against Isolde's poisons, inspecting every meal for shimmers. But the tension between them grew dangerous. His eyes followed her, darkening when she leaned close. Touches came. Fingers grazing on a quill, a hand on her back in the corridor. By the third week, the undressing ritual was agony. Her hand shook unfastening his doublet, his heat radiating. The shirt too, loon, he said, voice husky. One night he caught her wrist. Dine with me, not as servant, as guest. They ate by firelight, space narrowing. When you're away, I watch the door, he murmured. His thumb wiped wine from her lip, leaving fire. Nights became intimate, dinners fireside talks, hands entwining. Celeste grounded herself in duty, but his gaze eroded her resolve. You're avoiding me, he said one evening. Why? She turned away. He approached. This bond, I dream of you. Why fight? She trembled as he cupped her face. His kiss ignited everything, gentle, then consuming. Joy and despair warred. She was lost, but the vow loomed. Firelight danced on Thierry's face as he traced patterns on Celeste's hand. By day, she was a silent shadow. By night, his secret love. Isolde circled, her smiles daggers, but ignored Celeste as mere servant. What's wrong? Thierry asked. She nestled closer, unable to explain Isolde's evil. The final mantle neared completion. Slipping from his bed, Celeste ventured to the forest, meeting her brother's wolves. They nuzzled her, providing wolfsbane. She wove under moonlight, dawn calling her back. But guards waited. Loon, a maid whispered. The king searches for you. Thierry's relief turned to concern. Where do you go? Exhaustion felled her. Awakening to his vigil, she heard his confession. You're my mate. I'll ask you properly. A week later, in the gardens, he knelt. Be my queen, my mate. Tears fell. She wanted yes, but Isolde's threat loomed. She stepped back. Why? He pleaded. Hurt turned to resignation. I was mistaken. Celeste watched him go. Heartbreaking. Duty first, brothers to save, then perhaps reclaim love. Word count, 298. Expand similarly. Expanded. Firelight flickered across Thierry's chiseled features as he traced lazy circles on Celeste's palm with his thumb. In these stolen moments, she could pretend to be just a woman cherished by a man, not a cursed princess with a fractured kingdom to mend. By day, they maintained decorum. She a silent attendant, no lingering glances, no brushes of skin. Even Isolde, now a fixture at court, dismissed her as insignificant, her honeyed words and sly smiles reserved for Thierry, whom she stalked like prey, sensing weakness. What's troubling you tonight? Thierry asked, sensing her tension. Your thoughts are miles away. She shook her head, nestling closer into his embrace, the warmth of his body a balm. Even if her voice were free, how could she articulate the horror that the woman courting him had shattered her family, cursed her brothers, murdered her father? The weight of it pressed on her chest like a stone. Loon, he murmured, turning her to face him. You're exhausted, pushing yourself too hard. She averted her gaze, the lie in her eyes. The final mantle was nearly done, her brother's freedom tantalizingly close. Later, As Cherry slept, his breathing steady, she slipped from the bed, navigating secret passages to the kitchens and out into the night. The forest welcomed her, ancient oaks whispering secrets. In a familiar clearing, she waited. A howl pierced the air, low and melodic. They emerged like phantoms, 6 wolves majestic and oversized. The lead, with silver-tipped fur, approached with dignity. Etienne. Celeste knelt, arms open. He pressed his head to her shoulder, a whine escaping. The others encircled her, nuzzling with affection. Julian pranced, presenting gathered wolfsbane. Tears pricked her eyes as she buried her fingers in her fur, drawing strength. Seated against an oak, she wove by moonlight, brothers guarding. Dawn's light halted her, the panel almost complete. Reluctantly, she returned, but guards barred Cherry's chambers. "Loon!" A kitchen maid hurried over. "The king's frantic. Search the kitchens at dawn for you." Her stomach knotted. Inside, Cherry paced by the window, hair wild. Relief flooded his face. "Where were you?" "I feared the worst." She lowered her eyes. "Loon, a plea. I thought you taken, hurt gone." She shook her head. "Never." "Then where? What secret pulls you from me?" Guilt and fatigue overwhelmed her. The room spun, darkness claiming her. She woke to voices. "Exhaustion, sire. Rest will heal." "You're sure?" Cherry's worry. "Absolutely." He sat beside her. "Rest, my love. I'm here." She drifted off. Later his voice. "I scoffed at mate bonds. Father called them fables." A laugh. He'd despair at my ensnarement. She feigned sleep. "From the moment I saw you," a peace returned. "You're my mate, Loon." His thumb on her wrist. "I want you publicly, heart, crown life." Tears welled. All she desired, but impossible now. We'll face your secrets together. A kiss on her hand. A week passed. She resumed duties, weaving in snatches. Then the dreaded dinner. Cherry dismissed advisors, leading her to gardens. "Remember our first true meeting? You awaken me. Though unspoken, you feel our bond." He knelt. "My wolf chooses you. Be my queen." Tears blurred her vision. She yearned to accept, but a soul's shadow loomed, recognition, destruction. With shattering heart, she withdrew. "You can't mean this." He rose, pain etched. "Why? I know you feel it." She gestured to Palace. "Duty, sacrifice. Unworthy? Titles mean nothing." She shook her head. "Please, whatever burden together." But she retreated. Resignation hardened his features. "Mistaken, then. I won't trouble you." He left, dignity intact. Celeste collapsed, sobbed silent. 6 months to explain, beg forgiveness. First, finish the mantle, save her brothers. Duty over love, as always for royalty.